This is going to be a raw, unedited video on why you should stand up for yourself starting from today and why you should not take disrespect. And I'm going to tell you about my life experiences before I made that change and after when I decided to not take disrespect. How my life changed, how I navigated my life differently. I'm going to the philosophical and psychological reasons why you shouldn't take disrespect. And I'm going to tell you why people end up taking disrespect. Then I'm going to tell you to analyze those patterns and how you can break out of them and navigate this more freely and comfortably. And this is a serious video. I want you to pay 100% attention. I don't want you scrolling down to the comments, going to the recommended videos and stuff. I want you to be 100% on this video if you want this message. If you can't do that, I want you to click away right now. I don't care about the numbers here anymore. I want these videos to make the impacts that I wanted. So I remember back in my school days, I really didn't think about this whole concept of taking disrespect or standing up for myself, and no one really told me about it. And what ended up happening was that I was kind of the class clown. I was the nerd who talks a lot, and people just enjoyed making fun of me. And I kind of let them do that. I never really spoke against it. The whole class banded together to make fun of me, to make jokes and stuff, and I just laughed it off. And I just sealed it as the way I should be treated because I never really stood up against it. I never complained. I just accepted it. And that's not a very good way to live because I know a lot of you who are watching this video, you clicked on this video because you know where you are letting people mistreat you. And when you're in that place, when you are still being disrespected, didn't really think that there is a way out of this. It is kind of out of the ordinary to think about breaking out of those patterns, being not on target, and actually people thinking that it's not worth it to try to make fun of you or to disrespect you or abuse you in ways. But once I made up my mind, once I decided to no longer take shit from people, to stand up for myself, things changed. It did take a long time for me to build up the image of someone who doesn't take disrespect. Because when people joke around while being offensive or being racist, they know that they're walking on thin ice and that when you put a light onto their statement, that the ice will break. What I'm saying is someone says idli dosa or something, some joke like that, and I go, what? What do you mean? Then then instead of you being the awkward person, now it changes around. Now they are the one awkward because now they have to either explain what they just said or they have to take it back. And either way, they will like, have to apologize at the end. So you just shifted the dynamics of that conversation. Instead of you being the awkward one laughing, by putting attention onto what they said, you just shifted the awkwardness over to them, which kind of works. It's like a reverse psychology kind of thing. But once you learn to stand up for yourself, once you decide to not take shits anymore, you will come up with ways to counter those things. It's gonna be intuitive once you start thinking about it and get more of presence of mind to deal with the situations in hand. And you are going to need a little bit of confidence for that. And I'm not going to tell you how to get that. This is not 5 tips to be more confident in public kind of video. But I will tell you exactly why you should do it. And someone who has the why can bear almost anyhow. Why shouldn't you take disrespect? Let's talk about something fundamental here. Going a bit too philosophical. Inaction is a form of action. I want to go on a side tangent here about society. Sometimes people argue, why can't I do X in this neighborhood if I'm doing it in my own space? You are technically right, but if that particular action X is not tolerable in that society, but they don't do anything about it, by taking inaction, they are taking action of accepting it and normalizing it. Because now that someone in that neighborhood can do X, tomorrow someone else can come along and say, there was someone else doing it, I can also do it. The next day, someone else will come along and do G, and you will have to accept it because once you start tolerating things by not taking action, you take the action of accepting it, you take the action of normalizing it. And due to your inaction, G and X became a new tolerable behavior in that neighborhood. It's kind of like social responsibility, collective responsibility, because just by not doing it, you're accepting it. Just by not doing it, you're approving of it. So, someone makes a racist joke today and you laugh it off. That means it's a tolerable behavior now. So, tomorrow, someone can come along and make a racist joke because it's tolerable. And the next day, someone gets abused because of their race. And it's kind of your responsibility too. It's kind of your fault too, because you didn't stand up against that when it mattered. And you made it more of a tolerable behavior. Of course, it's the fault of the person who is doing the wrong thing, but I want you to be strong. I want you to be strong and stand up against it. I want you to be strong for the weaker people out there. I want you to stand up so that you inspire hope in the people who don't have the strength, who don't have that much focus, who can't do it. I want you to stand up for them. It's called social responsibility. It is your fault too if that happens to someone else because you let that happen to you, and by that you project it, normalizing it. I know this is a bit philosophical or psychological for people, but I want you to understand the importance of your actions because you live in a society, you live in a group of people. Your actions matter a lot more than you think. So, there are two responsibilities at play here. You have to be responsible for two different sets of people. One is your future self. You want to stand up for yourself so that future you don't get disrespected. Doesn't make sense for you because if that person believes that it's adorable behavior, if someone made a joke at you today which is racist and you just laughed it off, tomorrow they can, and that tomorrow version of you will have to suffer. And because of that, the next day, the next day, the next day, the future versions of you will have to suffer. So I want you to be strong for those people. And another responsibility that you have is for the other people out there. So by tolerating the behavior which is intolerable, you make it so that other people also suffer from the same person. So person A in your class did that and you accepted it, person A will go to someone else and do the same thing. And it's kind of your fault too, which is what I explained so far. And also another thing with this is you project yourself as a weaker person. You believe that, okay, I couldn't stand up against it. You by taking that joke over and over and over again, you kind of internalize the concept that you're a weaker person, that you deserve to be disrespected, that you just find it harder to respect yourself because you are someone who takes disrespect from other people. How will it be easy for you to respect yourself when you take disrespect from others? And by building a respect for yourself, you will be able to not take disrespect from others. So this is all the philosophical, kind of psychological, kind of nerdy shit about you shouldn't take why you shouldn't take disrespect. Right. So let's look at some of the reasons why people end up taking disrespect in the first place. One of them being low self-esteem, which is that they don't respect themselves enough. They don't think that they deserve any respect, that they deserve to be treated like shit. So I say this a lot of times on my channel. Look at the source. How did you develop? the sense that no one needs to respect you. Find the source where that habit, where that belief system came through. Maybe in your childhood, people around you treated you like shit, and you had to cope and you had to believe that the people you love may treat you like that, and you have to be okay with it, be normal with it. You have to normalize that in your head. One of the reasons you can't really resonate with the message of this video, because you feel like people don't treat you that bad, because you've set your bar low, because you feel like they're okay with it. And I want you to look into it, and I want you to ask yourself whether you let people disrespect you. Another reason why people do it is because they think that the other person will stop disrespecting them at some point in the future, because they won't just disrespect me forever, right? Because eventually they'll understand that I would like you now. Of course they won't, because if they did actually care about you, they wouldn't have disrespected you in the first place. Look, as you're trying to cope again like you did all through your childhood. Come on, break those patterns. You have the consciousness required to do that. Come on, you can't just expect people to read your mind, change the word for you. You gotta change it yourself. And then, yeah, when I said conditioning, you couldn't really fight back against that, because probably they were parents, or there is a power dynamic present, and you couldn't really stand up for yourself in that, because it's all the people, you got to respect them, right? So I went into pretty much detailed views of why you shouldn't take disrespect. I went into scenarios, I went into the philosophical and psychological reasons for you to understand that you shouldn't take disrespect. Now, how do you develop the habit of not taking it? How do you become the person who doesn't take it? Now, that is something that I want you to understand a bit more deeply. And for that, like I usually say, what I want you to do is I want you to look back into those scenarios where you were disrespected. I always tell you to look into your past, analyze those patterns of behaviors. And that's exactly what I want you to do this time around as well. I want you to look back into the past. I want you to take those scenarios where you accepted disrespect, where you tolerated intolerable behavior. And I want you to remember, try to compute what was going through that brain of yours, that brain of that past version of yours, which is different from now, but you may have kept most of the stuff from it. I want you to analyze that. I want you to analyze multiple of those past experiences, and I want you to, dissect it and really go to the roots of why you're taking disrespect. Think about all the past trauma and stuff that you had in the past, very minute stuff. Someone treated you badly when you were a child, things like that. I want you to look at those, and I want you to analyze those patterns. Is this why I am taking this respect today? I want you to go into those details, and I want you to analyze it. And I extremely highly encourage you to go get help if that will help you much better, because this is not counseling advice, this is not clinical medical advice or anything like that. I'm just another person who's trying to navigate through the problems that you are going through as well. I don't have any license medical or anything. The only information I have is the videos that I consume and the books that I read, and I'm trying to help you to understand the things that I myself understood. So I would highly recommend you to go see a professional if that is what you deem sufficient. But if you can help yourself before, if you can figure it out, and if you think it's not that bad and you can figure it out, I would recommend you to dive deeper into your past experiences and analyze if you can understand why you're taking those disrespect. And this is the common advice, this is a general theme of advice that you will see in these videos that I post, is that I highly encourage you all the time to look into the past, because you often find the roots of the problem. And as long as you don't analyze the roots, you can't really fix what happened to you in the past, but you can change the way you see about it, and you can change the way you navigate through life. And as long as you don't address that, cause the 5 tips to be more confident and how to not take disrespect, those kind of videos won't work for you unless you address the root of your problem. I keep mentioning this, that do not treat the symptom, find the source, treat it there, and the symptoms would just vanish. Not magically, but it will take time for you to condition yourself to do it. But that is the best thing you can do for yourself. I think that's about it for this video. Do not take disrespect. And you can click here somewhere for another video that will help you question the patterns of the mind. And comment down below. Let's build a community of like-minded people with the same goals and everything. Let's make this a real thing. Come on. I don't want this to be just a YouTube channel. I don't want this to be just videos. I want it to be people. Peace.